Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
What a coincidence. Zhou Zhou was in disbelief. The information on the exchange was that someone had sold him a statue of ancestor Sun Simiao. Moreover, it happened to be at the white silver tier. It could be fused and upgraded with the statue of ancestor Sun Simiao in his imperial ancestral temple. And the person who sold this statue was the Green Phoenix Lord he had met once. Zhou Zhou naturally would not forget this beautiful compatriot who had once fought with him on the Lord battlefield. At this moment, the other party sent a message. Green Phoenix Lord, Great Lord, are you there? Lord of the Blazing Sun, I'm here. I didn't expect you to be the first person to trade this statue with me. Green Phoenix Lord, hee. I saw your deal hanging for a long time without being cancelled. I guess that no one sold you the ancestor statue. Green Phoenix Lord, it's too normal. To date, I've killed at least 30,000 fog monsters in my territory. Only then did this ancestor statue drop. Green Phoenix Lord, if not for the fact that the architect in my territory isn't at the right level to build the ancestral temple now, I wouldn't have transacted this ancestral statue with you. It's too rare after all. Lord of the Blazing Sun, yes, what price do you want? Green Phoenix Lord, 1,000 yellow gold tier mist cores. This price is not expensive. Even though it's only a white silver tier ancestor statue, there won't be more than 10 in the hands of all the cerulean planet human lords after all. I am not trying to cheat you. Zhou Zhou smiled and agreed. 1,000 yellow gold tier mist cores? Was that considered money? He had obtained more than 4,600 diamond tier mist cores today. He directly obtained 280,000 yellow gold tier mist cores. 1,000 of them was nothing to him. Moreover, the Green Phoenix Lord was right. Even if an ancestor statue was only white silver tier, at this stage, its value and rarity were not inferior to a diamond tier equipment. Not to mention that the Green Luan Lord had proposed to trade 1,000 yellow gold tier mist cores. Even if she said she wanted 1,000 diamond tier mist cores, Zhou Zhou would agree after feigning hesitation. On the other side, the Green Phoenix Lord was stunned when she saw that the Lord of the Blazing Sun had actually agreed so readily. Then, she regretted it. She seemed to have asked for too little. Some lords on the World Channel had long said that the Lord of the Blazing Sun might be the richest lord among all the human lords on Cerulean planet. From the looks of it, it seemed to be true. He actually agreed to 1,000 mist cores without bargaining. She wanted to type, "Can I increase the price?" But halfway through, she hesitated and deleted the words one by one. Her relationship with the Lord of the Blazing Sun was quite good now. There was no need to ruin his impression of her because of the mist cores. Green Phoenix Lord, then let's trade now. The Green Phoenix Lord no longer hesitated and immediately said. If she didn't say it earlier, she was afraid that she would back out. Lord of the Blazing Sun, all right. After that, the two of them made a deal. After the transaction, both of them were quite satisfied. At this moment, the other party sent another message. Green Phoenix Lord, Big Boss Blazing Sun, do you really not plan to establish an alliance in the future? Green Phoenix Lord, if you establish an alliance in the future, our Green Phoenix Pact will join you. Hee. Zhou Zhou was stunned. For a moment, he did not know if the other party was joking or serious. Lord of the Blazing Sun, let's see how it goes. Zhou Zhou typed. The Green Phoenix Lord could not help but be a little surprised when she saw Zhou Zhou's reply. This tone, it did not seem to be very resistant to establishing an alliance. Didn't the lords on the World Channel all say that the Lord of the Blazing Sun was a loner? She clicked her tongue in her heart. The Green Phoenix Lord did not dare to imagine what would happen to their Cerulean planet lord after the Lord of the Blazing Sun establishes his own lord alliance. After that, the two of them chatted for a while, more before saying goodnight to each other. Seeing this, Zhou Zhou was about to go to the Imperial Ancestral Temple and fuse the statues of Sun Simiao's ancestors. But at this moment, another transaction message came from the exchange. Zhou Zhou was stunned. Then, he was surprised to discover that this was actually another Cerulean planet human who wanted to trade with him for the statue of the Cerulean planet's ancestor. However, this person was a person called the fertile landlord. Zhou Zhou did not know him. At this moment, the other party also sent a message. Fertile landlord, hello, big boss. My name is Nong Chenglin, Lord of the Blazing Sun. You don't have to call me big boss. Just call me Lord of the Blazing Sun. Zhou Zhou sat down again and sent him a message. Fertile landlord, big boss, you're too humble. I'm a farming lord. I even received the buff from your sword of Xian Yuan previously. Lord of the Blazing Sun, it's fine. The enhancement of the sword of Xian Yuan is meant for all the cerulean planet human lords. Zhou Zhou did not care. Ever since the buff effect of the sword of Xian Yuan spread, he had seen many farming lords who expressed their gratitude to him. After all, even though the environment was not good now, there were still many people who knew how to be grateful. There were even lords who wanted to give him some farm byproducts. Zhou Zhou did not want it because he was busy every day. However, even though he did not care, his initial impression of this person was still much better. Fertile landlord, thank you. To be honest, I'm also a lord with a lord talent. Moreover, the lord talent is related to agriculture. The production of crops will more or less affect the level and strength of the farmers in our territory. Fertile landlord, therefore, with the enhancement of the sword of Xian Yuan, the effect of my lord talent is doubled, so I'm very grateful to you. Fertile landlord, therefore, with the enhancement of your Xian Yuan sword, the effect of my lord talent is doubled, so I'm very grateful to you. Fertile landlord, I know Big Boss Blazing Sun needs this, so I want to give it to you. Fertile plains. Nong Chenglin looked at the chat interface in front of him nervously. Actually, he had wanted to give the Lord of the Blazing Sun something a long time ago as a repayment on the enhancement of the sword of Xian Yuan. However, what others said was their business. In Nong Chenglin's mind, his teacher and family had taught him many human principles since he was young. One of the human principles was, as a person, you have to know how to repay kindness. Don't be an ingrate. As a farming player, Nong Chenglin's thoughts were not complicated, so he agreed with this logic. Previously, he also wanted to give him some agricultural byproducts. However, after thinking about it, he felt that the Lord of the Blazing Sun might not need such a thing. Therefore, he temporarily put aside the idea of giving gifts. Until today, when he was collecting the loot, he obtained an ancestor statue. The highest level architect in his territory was only at the green bronze tier intermediate grade. He could not build the imperial ancestral temple at all. Therefore, this ancestor statue was temporarily useless to him. But even if it was useful, he also planned to give it to Zhou Zhou. Other than wanting to repay the benefits of the sword of Xian Yuan, he also had his own thoughts. He had to find a backer for himself in this chaotic world. As a farming lord, it was very difficult for him to survive in this world without a powerful lord as his backer. The final outcome might very well be his farming results and become someone else's wedding dress. He did not feel safe with the other lords. Even though the Lord of the Blazing Sun was feared by the other top-notch lords, however, his reputation was very good among the lower-level lords. Not to mention anything else. Just the large amount of supplies sold by the Lord of the Blazing Sun every day, especially the soldier class change certificates, allowed most low-level lords to reap a lot of benefits. Many low-level lords even had such a saying. The Lord of the Blazing Sun was the lord talent they relied on to survive in this chaotic world. This was not bragging. Instead, it was the true thoughts of many lords. Nong Chenglin had such an epiphany. Many professions in his territory came from buying the class change certificates sold by the Lord of the Blazing Sun. If not for the military professionals created by these soldier class change certificates, he might not even be able to complete the basic goal of the Lord battlefield activity. That was why he wanted to find the Lord of the Blazing Sun as his backer. In the words he had just said, revealing his Lord talent intentionally or unintentionally also meant to show his ability and value. On the other side, Zhou Zhou was really surprised to hear the fertile landlord's words. The value of a statue of the cerulean planet's human ancestor was needless to say. Even the Green Phoenix Lord would not give it to him for nothing. He did not expect this lord called Nong Lin to actually give him a thank you gift of this level. Moreover, the lord talent he mentioned attracted Zhou Zhou's attention. Agricultural lord talent? He looked thoughtful. Now, there were more than 100,000 people in his territory. Moreover, this number would increase every day. With so many people, just the daily consumption of food was a problem. Now, his territory was buying food from Sandgold City to satisfy the daily food needs of the territory's subjects. However, this was not a long-term solution. Provisions moved before troops. Having your own food production channel is a necessary foundation for development. Previously, he had not thought about this for the time being because he was too busy. Now that this fertile landlord had come over himself, perhaps he could try to make him submit to him. He thought for a moment and typed, "Lord of the Blazing Sun, I can't take it for nothing. How about this? I'll give you two choices. Lord of the Blazing Sun, first, I'll give you 1,000 white platinum tier mist cores to buy this ancestor statue of yours. Lord of the Blazing Sun, secondly, I will use the master servant territory contract to turn your territory into my subordinate territory. I will still give you 1,000 white platinum tier mist cores as your territory's development funds. In addition, I will also protect your territory's development and give you some resources that can assist your development. For example, I will rent you land for farming or provide you with seeds that you don't have. Lord of the Blazing Sun, but the price is that you and your territory have to be absolutely loyal to me. Moreover, from now on, the food produced in your territory has to be sold to us at the lowest price given that you have a certain profit." Zhou Zhou did not say anything about giving their agricultural produce to him for free. This fertile landlord was a farming lord who mainly focused on agricultural development. If he took them all for free, he would be letting the other party and his subjects die. Zhou Zhou naturally would not do such a thing. Moreover, Zhou Zhou now had a large number of uninhabited territories under his command. These territories were equivalent to being abandoned. It was better to hand it over to the other party to farm. On the other side, Nong Lin was immediately overjoyed when he heard the Lord of the Blazing Sun's words. He was still thinking about how to ask the other party to be his backer. He did not expect the Lord of the Blazing Sun to take the initiative to mention it. Just what I want. Nong Lin did not care about the loyalty the other party mentioned. Even though he had only been in this world for more than 10 days, he had long become accustomed to doing as the Romans do. He was used to loyalty, a term that was unfamiliar to modern people like him. As long as he could live comfortably, he could even sell himself. What more loyalty? He took out 2 items and initiated the transaction without hesitation. Zhou Zhou fell silent when he saw the 2 items. One of them was naturally the statue of the cerulean planet's ancestor statue. The second was a green bronze tier master servant territory contract. Lord of the Blazing Sun, you're already prepared? Fertile landlord, who can refuse to be protected by Big Boss Blazing Sun? He flattered Zhou Zhou, even though it was true. Zhou Zhou was speechless, but he still accepted the deal. He first looked at the statue of the cerulean planet's ancestor statue. It was a 3 to 4 meters tall statue. He was wearing the clothes of an ancient emperor. His ears were on his shoulders, and his hands were above his knees. His eyes were extremely long and narrow, giving people the illusion that they could see his ears. This is Liu Bei. Zhou Zhou was stunned. At this moment, a text notification appeared. Treasure name: Cerulean Planet's ancestor statue, Liu Bei. Treasure grade: yellow gold tier. Treasure effect: place it in the shrine of the Imperial Ancestral Temple and activate the ancestor statue's ancestral enhancement effect on territory, subjects, or lords. Treasure description: Emperor Zhaolai of the ancient Shu Kingdom of China, courtesy name Xuanda. After Liu Shang, the Prince of Zhongshan, the founding emperor and politician of the Shu Han. It's really him. I wonder what Liu Bei's ancestral blessing is? Zhou Zhou was a little curious. However, he was not in a hurry to send it into the ancestral temple. Instead, he looked at the green bronze tier Lord's servant territory contract beside him. A text notification appeared. Do you want to use it? Yes, Zhou Zhou said. Please choose the lord you want to sign the master-servant territory contract with. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he asked for the name of the other party's territory. After knowing, he immediately said, "The fertile lord of fertile city." A request to sign a master-servant territory contract has been sent to the fertile city, fertile landlord. Please wait patiently. Zhou Zhou waited. Soon, the text notification appeared again. Fertile city, fertile landlord has agreed to your master-servant territory contract request and has officially become your subordinate territory. You have activated the special territory information column, subordinate territory column. A new subordinate territory, fertile city, has been added to your subordinate territory column. You have the sovereignty of fertile city. The lord of fertile city and his subjects cannot go against your orders as the lord of the main territory. At the same time, as the lord of the main territory, you have to bear the responsibility of protecting your subordinate territory. Your territory has a special building, spatial teleportation array, yellow gold tier intermediate grade. You can choose to share the effect of your lord talent with your subordinate territory. Fertile landlord. Can I call you my lord now, big boss? Lord of the blazing sun. Sure. Fertile landlord. Then can I bring the matter of me becoming your subordinate territory to the world channel? Hee, I want to show off. Even though Zhou Zhou was speechless, he agreed. In any case, he did not intend to treat this matter as a secret. In the future, he would obtain more lords through the lord's subordinate territory scroll. It was destined to be public in the future. What he needed to consider now was what talent effect to share with him. According to the text notification, the shared lord talent effect was only partial, so he had to consider it. A moment later, he made his decision. Let's still use the blessing of the war god. Zhou Zhou thought. Didn't the fertile landlord feel that he lacked the strength to protect himself and wanted to find a backer? Then I'll give you the blessing of the war god that can quickly increase the combat strength of your territory. As for sending troops to help them, that was impossible. It was all right to protect his underlings once or twice. Zhou Zhou was not interested in being someone else's nanny. Share this talent with the fertile landlord, blessing of the 10 gods, blessing of the war god. Zhou Zhou thought to himself. A text notification appeared. Main servant territory hint. The lord talent has been shared successfully. Main servant territory hint. You can check the specific effect of the current shared talent and can modify or retract the current shared lord talent at any time. Zhou Zhou muttered, check. The next second, the specific information of the lord talent that had been shared appeared in front of Zhou Zhou. Zhou Zhou took a look. Then, he raised his eyebrows. This was because he realized that the shared blessing of the 10 gods, the blessing of the war god, had actually been reduced from white platinum tier to yellow gold tier. Is this why I can only share a portion of the lord talent effect? Zhou Zhou was deep in thought. He tried to adjust it, but he realized that he really could not adjust it upwards. He could only adjust it down. It seems that the yellow gold tier blessing of the 10 gods, the blessing of the war god, is already the limit of what I can share. Can't share anymore. Zhou Zhou thought. Then, he tried to ask how to increase the effect of the lord talent. Supreme will notification. Raise the level of the lord talent. Zhou Zhou thought about it. This was in line with his desire to upgrade the blessing of the war god. He then checked the lord talent effect shared by Linger. In the end, he realized that the blessing of the white silver tier war god was still there. He could only obtain an additional 400% promotion energy. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he directly raised it to 1000%, reaching the limit of the yellow gold tier lord talent. At the same time, just as Zhou Zhou was sharing the blessing of the war god, the text notification of sharing talents also appeared in front of Linger and Nong Chenglin. Your lord of the main territory has shared with you a yellow gold tier lord talent, blessing of the 10 gods, blessing of the war god. You can check the specific information of this lord talent. After seeing the specific effects of the talent, Nong Chenglin and Linger were shocked. Linger only felt that her big brother was really amazing. She also remembered that she had only shared a portion of the lord's talent effect. Nong Chenglin was even more shocked. Obtained an additional 1000% promotion energy? Doesn't that mean that destroying one monster is equivalent to destroying 11 monsters? This Lord Talent is actually so terrifying, he muttered to himself. Then, he realized something even more terrifying. According to the notification, the shared Lord Talent was only part of the effect of the Lord Talent of the Lord's main territory. There were already rumors on the World Channel that the Lord Talent of the Lord of the Blazing Sun had already advanced to the mythical tier Lord Talent after the Novice Lord test. Could it be that the Lord's Lord Talent is the blessing of the mythical tier War God? Thinking of this, Nong Chenglin gasped. The white platinum tier blessing of the 10 gods, the blessing of the War Master God, was already so terrifying. How ridiculous would the mythical tier talent effect be? At this moment, Nong Chenglin was especially glad that he had joined the Lord of the Blazing Sun and become his subordinate territory. This talent, he would definitely dominate a region in the future as long as he did not die midway. It was even possible to fight for the position of the Supreme Lord that even the lords of all races wanted. When the time comes, no matter what, he was a subject of the dragon. At this moment, his information bar suddenly flashed. It was a message from the Lord of the Blazing Sun. Lord of the Blazing Sun, come over through the spatial teleportation array. I'll get the guards to pick you up. Nong Chenglin was stunned. However, he did not think too much about it. He only thought that his new lord wanted to meet him face to face and discuss his future development. It was a very reasonable request. He called over a maid and tidied himself up grandly. He put on the most expensive but polite clothes and came to the spatial teleportation array. There was no time to admire the appearance of the spatial teleportation array that had appeared out of thin air in the territory. After knowing how to operate this spatial teleportation array, he immediately teleported to Blazing Sun City. A moment later, when Nong Chenglin was led to the Lord Manor and entered the meeting hall, he saw Zhou Zhou and a cute little girl sitting together and chatting. You're Nong Chenglin, right? I'm the Lord of the Blazing Sun. My real name is Zhou Zhou. Take a seat first, Zhou Zhou said when he saw Nong Chenglin. Yes, my lord. Nong Chenglin sat down nervously, even though the young man in front of him looked very young. However, as a middle-aged man, he felt a real sense of oppression when facing the other party. The Lord of the Blazing Sun is definitely very strong. It's either white-silver tier or yellow-gold tier. Nong Chenglin was secretly shocked. The promotion energy required for a lord to advance was extremely high. Even with the enhancement of his lord talent, he was only at the green bronze tier intermediate grade after farming non-stop every day. This was already considered not bad among the human lords of the Cerulean planet. Nong Chenglin really could not imagine how the other party had increased his strength to such a terrifying level. At this moment, Zhou Zhou stopped talking. He looked at Nong Chenglin and asked, "Can you let me see your lord talent? I'm more curious." Of course. Nong Chenglin immediately agreed and shared his lord talent information with Zhou Zhou. Zhou Zhou looked over. Lord Talent, Agricultural Expert, Green Bronze Tier. Talent Effect 1. You are born with a special life profession, Agricultural Expert. You also have rich agricultural knowledge and practical ability. Talent Effect 2. When you summon your subjects every day, there is a higher chance of summoning a farmer-type life profession. There is also a very small chance of attracting farmers from the outside world to join your territory. Talent Effect 3. You and the farmer-type professionals in your territory can obtain promotion energy by planting and harvesting crops, thereby increasing your strength and the level of the farmers in your territory. Zhou Zhou was a little surprised after reading it. Even though this Lord Talent was only at the green bronze tier, its effect was indeed very practical for farmers. He looked away and said to the two of them, I invited the two of you over this time because I have something to tell you. You're all my subordinate territory. You should have already seen the Lord Talent I shared with you, right? I see it. Big brother, the Lord Talent you shared is so powerful. Linger looked at Zhou Zhou with admiration. Big brother? Was she the Lord's family? Nong Chenglin was surprised. He immediately decided to be polite to this little girl and give her some gifts later. I saw it. Thank you, my lord. For sharing my Lord talent. With the Lord talent you share, my territory will definitely have the ability to protect itself or even develop after a while. Nong Chenglin said excitedly. How many professionals can fight in your territory now? Zhou Zhou nodded and asked. My territory has 24,720 military professionals, Linger said proudly. With the class change certificate provided by her brother and the large number of war refugees joining her territory every day, her territory could be said to be developing rapidly. Now, not only did he have so many professionals, but even his territory level had increased to the white silver tier elementary grade. Let's develop for a while more. She could even attack white silver tier regional territories and continue to increase the level of her territory. It's going great. Zhou Zhou praised the other party. This development speed and territory strength was no longer inferior to some weaker top-notch lords. Then, he looked at Nong Chenglin. My territory only has 621 military professionals and 142 combat professions. He was a little ashamed, and he could not help but look at Linger. They were both lords' subordinate territories. The difference was too great. Even though he joined later. Nothing. Linger has been with me for a long time. Your territory can do the same in the future. Like this. In a while, go find my Vice City Lord and apply for 10,000 basic military class change certificates from him. In the future, if you want another class change certificate, you can use the food you planted to exchange for it. Of course, if you don't need it, you can directly trade for the Mist Core. Zhou Zhou said. He did not lack either the soldier-type class change certificate or the Mist Core. As for Linger, as his little sister, she could come and collect it at any time if she lacked a soldier class change certificate. On the other side, Nong Chenglin was stunned when he heard Zhou Zhou's words. 10,000 class change certificates. The total population of his territory was less than 2,000. He became excited. Was this the rich and imposing Lord of the Blazing Sun? Today, he had truly witnessed what it meant to be arrogant. Thank you, my lord, he said excitedly. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. Then, he said, I want to take something from you. What is it? The excited Nong Chenglin was stunned. It won't harm or affect you at all, but it will be of some use to me. Zhou Zhou said. He was naturally talking about the green bronze tier lord talent crystal fragments in the other party's body. Even though there were not many of them, but at least it was better than nothing. It's in me? Nong Chenglin probed. I guess so. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. Can I refuse? Nong Chenglin could not help but ask. Even though the Lord said that it would not harm or affect him at all, but to take something from him, he was a little afraid just thinking about it. Sure. Zhou Zhou smiled and nodded. Things are different now. It's just a few green bronze tier lord talent crystal fragments. When he first obtained the Master Thief's robbery gloves, he might have wanted them very much. However, he could obtain hundreds of yuan from the Scarlet Lord after going out to fight for a day. Therefore, he really did not value the Lord talent crystal fragment on the other party. Moreover, he understood the other party's concerns. If it were him, he would not easily let others touch him, let alone take the things in his body. When Nong Chenglin saw that Zhou Zhou agreed so easily, he hesitated. After a while, my lord, take it. He gritted his teeth. I won't hurt you. Zhou Zhou was speechless when he saw him like this. He did not say anything after that. He put on the Master Thief's robbery gloves and placed them on his shoulder. A text notification appeared. Current items to steal. 1 green bronze tier intermediate grade agricultural theory, stealing success rate. 100%. 1 green bronze tier intermediate grade fertilizer manufacturing, stealing success rate. 100%. 1 green bronze tier intermediate grade skill book, rice cultivation, stealing success rate. 100%. 1 green bronze tier intermediate grade skill book, fruit tree cultivation, stealing success rate. 100%. 1 green bronze tier intermediate grade skill book, fruit forest, conservation, stealing success rate. 100%. 1 green bronze tier lord talent sphere, stealing success rate. 100%. And 6 green bronze tier lord talent crystal fragments, Stealing success rate, 100%. Zhou Zhou's gaze shifted from the other party's green bronze tier Lord Talent Sphere to the green bronze tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragment. He naturally would not be tempted by his Lord Talent. In any case, the other party was already his subordinate territory. His Lord Talent was equivalent to his Lord Talent. Moreover, with the peace of the country, the other party's loyalty would not be a problem in the future. Since that was the case, he just had to do his best. Then, he ordered in his heart to steal the 6 green bronze tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments. The next second, in his spatial ring, 6 green bronze tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments appeared out of thin air. After doing all this, he retracted his hand. "All right," Zhou Zhou said to Nong Qinglin, who had his eyes closed and his body trembling slightly. The other party was stunned and opened his eyes in a daze. "That's it? What else? You don't think I'm going to cut a hole in you, do you?" Zhou Zhou smiled. "You can take another 500 Storm Spirit Class Change certificates when you collect the Soldier Class Change certificates later," he said. Since the fertile landlord allowed him to obtain his fragment of the Lord Talent Crystals, Zhou Zhou naturally would not mistreat him. 500 Storm Spirit Class Change certificates could be considered a reward for the other party. Even though Nong Qinglin did not know what breed the Storm Spirit Class Change certificate was, if nothing went wrong, it was most likely good. "Thank you, my lord," he said expectantly. "Imichim, you go first. As for choosing a suitable area to rent farmland in my territory, you can talk to the Vice City Lord tomorrow. As for seeds, there's a seed called the Jade Sun Tree in our territory. This seed ranges from green bronze tier to white platinum tier. If you want to plant them, you can also buy them from us to sow them." Zhou Zhou said. "Yes. Then I'll take my leave first," Nong Qinglin said respectfully and excitedly. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. When Nong Qinglin saw this, he bade farewell to Linger and turned to leave. But halfway through, he suddenly turned around and said expectantly, "My lord, can I say something about what I said today on the World Channel? I'll only say the part about the Soldier Class Change certificates. I won't say anything else. I don't mean anything else. I just want to publicize the Lord's good deeds." Zhou Zhou. He looked at him disdainfully. "You look quite honest. Why do you like to show off so much? Don't mention the Storm Spirit Class Change certificate, but you can mention the 10,000 basic Soldier Class Change certificates." He thought for a moment and said he would form his own Lord Alliance in the future. Since Nong Qinglin wanted to show off so much, then he could attract a group of lords who wanted to join his alliance. "Yes, my lord," Nong Qinglin said respectfully and turned to leave. After leaving the Lord Manor, he immediately clenched his fists excitedly. "I came to the right place this time. There's actually such a huge gain." His face was flushed with excitement. Nong Qinglin even felt that. Choosing to rely on the Lord of the Blazing Sun and making him his backer was the wisest decision he had made in his life. "I have to think about how to say it on the World Channel." He was excited for a long time before coming back to his senses. Then, he walked back and pondered. At the same time, in the Lord Manor, in the meeting hall, "Big brother, what's a violent storm spirit?" Linger looked up at Zhou Zhou and asked curiously. "A kingdom-level combat profession change certificate. After he's done, go and get 3,000 books yourself." Zhou Zhou smiled. "Thank you, big brother." Linger was first shocked by the kingdom-level combat profession change certificate. Then, she immediately became excited when she heard Zhou Zhou's words. The current her already understood the value of a kingdom-level combat profession. Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, the two of them chatted and laughed for a while before Linger skipped away. Seeing this, Zhou Zhou also brought the 2 newly obtained Cerulean Planet's ancestor statue to the Ancestral Temple. In the main hall of the Imperial Ancestral Temple, Zhou Zhou looked at the scene in front of him. 10-meter-tall red shrines were neatly placed on the altar. In 2 of the shrines, there were statues of Sun Simiao and Gong Shuban. The other 2 shrines were empty. Previously, when the Ancestral Temple was at the white-silver tier, there were only 3 shrines. Now that the Imperial Ancestral Temple has advanced to the yellow-gold tier, there is now an additional shrine? He didn't think too much about it. He took out Liu Bei's ancestor statue and used the item control technique to carefully place it in the rightmost shrine. The next second, the entire hall shook slightly. An old voice filled with entrustment sounded. Don't do evil, however small a deed. Do good, however small a deed. Only virtuous people can convince others. It's actually this proverb. Zhou Zhou was stunned. He could not help but sigh in his heart. These were the words Liu Bei had written to his son, Liu Chan, before his death. Unfortunately, Liu Chan later forgot about it. In the end, the kingdom of Shu was still destroyed. Perhaps on his deathbed, Liu Bei might have already expected his son to be unable to ascend to the job. However, he was not angry at him for not fighting. He just wanted to do his father's last duty and tell Liu Chan to be a kind child in the future. It was enough. His parents were already tired enough. There was no need to pass this pressure on to the children. In the end, it was just that he couldn't stop worrying about his child. Zhou Zhou sighed with emotion. Actually, under normal circumstances, he would not have such thoughts. However, the father-son relationship contained in Liu Bei's words was too strong. Anyone who heard it would be touched. At this moment, a new text notification appeared. You have placed a yellow gold tier statue of the ancestor of the cerulean planet in the shrine of the Imperial Shrine, Liu Bei. You have activated the exclusive ancestor buff, Subdue People with Virtue. The current ancestor statue has been updated. Current ancestral enhancement effect has been updated. Subdue People with Virtue? Zhou Zhou opened the current ancestral enhancement effect. Ancestral enhancement. Subdue People with Virtue. Grade. Yellow Gold Tier. Buff Effect 1. The Lord's benevolence is easier to increase the loyalty of his subjects and will increase the probability of talents coming to invest. Buff Effect 2. It is easier for your loyal subjects to give birth to loyal subjects. Zhou Zhou was deep in thought. This buff did not seem to be of much use. However, if he could really attract someone to join him in the future, it would be a surprise. Moreover, the number of loyal subjects would affect the number of holy spirits after becoming a god. This was still very useful. The last point was, it could help him increase the loyalty of the people in his territory. In other words, it could speed up the advancement of the Diamond Tier Lord talent piece and prosperity to the Extraordinary Tier Lord talent. Thinking of this, Zhou Zhou suddenly felt that this ancestral enhancement was quite useful. Then, he opened the Peace and Prosperity Lord talent and looked at how many subjects in his current territory had loyalty points of 90 and above. Current number, 21, 223/1, 000,000. There are actually more than 20,000 people? Zhou Zhou was surprised. There were less than 120,000 people in his territory. Nearly half of the subjects had joined in the past 2 days. Under such circumstances, there were actually more than a fifth of the subjects whose loyalty had reached 0 and above 90 points. In the eyes of the other lords, this ratio could already be considered a miracle. After all, many lords on the World Channel felt that a subject with more than 80 loyalty points could already be trusted as a brother and entrust the territory to him. If he told others about his data, there would definitely be a huge number of lords who would envy him. However, Zhou Zhou was naturally not so bored. After that, he closed the Lord Talent panel and took out Sun Simiao's statue. Under Zhou Zhou's surprised gaze, this statue of Sun Simiao instantly turned into a silver-white stream of light and rushed into the statue of Sun Simiao in the leftmost shrine. The two quickly fused into one and gradually emitted a golden light before slowly disappearing into the statue's body. A text notification appeared. Congratulations, your cerulean planet's ancestor statue, Sun Simiao, has officially advanced from the white-silver tier to the yellow tier. The current ancestor statue has been updated. Current ancestral enhancement effect has been updated. Zhou Zhou first looked at the statue of the current ancestor and realized that the level symbol behind Sun Simiao had changed from white-silver tier to yellow-gold tier. Then, he looked at the current ancestral enhancement. It was because essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies had also advanced to the yellow-gold tier. Treasure name. Essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies. Treasure grade. Yellow gold tier. Treasure effect 1. After healing the injured, there is a chance that all doctor-related professionals in the territory will comprehend more medical theories, increasing the probability of breaking through by 5%. Treasure effect 2. When physician-related professionals with the essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies encounter difficult illnesses, there is a chance that they will receive hints from the human ancestor of cerulean planet, Sun Simiao. Treasure description. Human lives are the most important. They are more precious than gold. They are more virtuous than this. Prompt. This treasure is exclusive to the Imperial Ancestral Temple. It cannot be worn down, lost, or destroyed. Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. There was only one upgrade for essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies. That was, the probability of breaking through had increased from 5% to 10%. It did not seem to have increased much. However, it had actually doubled. These 1,000 yellow gold tier mist cores had not been spent in vain. At the same time, just as Sun Simiao's ancestor statue had just been upgraded. In Bai Yuejing's room. At this moment, this old man was studying essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies. Surrounding him were dense medical books. Among these medical books, some were from the High Continent, and the other portion were Chinese medical books from the cerulean planet. These Chinese medicine books were what he had heard and recorded from the author after consulting him. The two systems were completely different, but the medical system that came from the same source benefited Bai Yuejing a lot. When he first came to the territory, he was only a diamond-tier intermediate-grade doctor. Now, his doctor profession level had shockingly reached the extraordinary-tier elementary grade. He was not far from the upper limit of extraordinary intermediate grade. It doesn't lose its taste. It doesn't abstain from lust, doesn't abide by emotions, and can relapse after suffering from illness. Even though there's a lot of meat, it can't compare to food. Bai Yuejing read softly while understanding the deeper meaning of medicine. This moment, the essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies in his hand lit up slightly. Bai Yuejing was stunned. Old senior son? He probed. There was no sound from the book. He called out a few more times, but there was still no sound from the book. Bai Yuejing immediately panicked. After spending a long time together, he had long become friends with this old senior in the medical field called Sun Simiao. Naturally, he did not want anything to happen to him. Fortunately, Sun Simiao's voice finally came from the book after a while. I'm fine. It's just that I was suddenly awakened by some lost memories and consciousness. My lord must have helped me find part of my lost statue. I have to thank my lord tomorrow. Sun Simiao sighed. Bai Yuejing heaved a sigh of relief when he heard this. Then, he could not help but be happy. Then I'll go find the lord tomorrow. Okay. We'll talk about it tomorrow. After I recovered my new memories, I had some new ideas for treating illnesses. Listen to them and let's communicate. Okay. Bai Yuejing was overjoyed. At the same time, after the fertile Earth Lord, Nong Chenglin, returned to his territory, he immediately told the World Channel that he had already submitted to the Lord of the Blazing Sun and become the Lord of the Blazing Sun's subordinate territory. He listened to Zhou Zhou's request and only said that he had obtained 10,000 basic soldier class change certificates and that the Lord of the Blazing Sun would protect him. He did not say anything else. But even so, it also attracted the envy of a large number of lords on the World Channel. After all, be it the protection of the Lord of the Blazing Sun or the 10,000 basic soldier class change certificates, they were both things that most lords could only dream of. The former meant safety. The latter meant that the territory strength of the fertile landlord would welcome a huge advancement. That was 10,000 basic soldier class change certificates. One had to know that under the transaction rules specially set by the Lord of the Blazing Sun, every lord could only buy at most 10 soldier class change certificates a day from the transaction he issued. Not even one more. In comparison, this further showed how generous the Lord of the Blazing Sun was to his own people. At that time, A vast number of lords said on the World Channel that they also wanted to be a subordinate territory of the Lord of the Blazing Sun. It was impossible to add him as a friend. Zhou Zhou had long set up that he could not be added as a friend. At most, they could send some transaction information through the exchange to express their request to become a subordinate territory. However, Zhou Zhou had also set up information screening on the exchange. Therefore, unless these people had something Zhou Zhou wanted. Other than that, Zhou Zhou was destined not to be able to see them trying to cozy up to him. When Nong Chenglin saw that these lords actually saw him as an envious target, he immediately felt even more comfortable. He did not show off for nothing. This was the effect he wanted. On the other side, Zhou Zhou bowed to Sun Simiao and the other ancestors and returned to his lord manor. Zhou Zhou had just returned when he saw a soldier standing in front of his manor. When he saw Zhou Zhou, he immediately ran over and said respectfully, "Reporting to my lord. There's just news from the Night Temple. They want to invite the lord over to talk about something." Zhou Zhou was stunned. Then, he reacted. They probably knew that he had ascended to the mythical tier advanced grade, so they wanted to ask him. He was already prepared for this, so he only nodded slightly and let the other party lead the way. A moment later, in the secret meeting room in the Night Temple, when Zhou Zhou arrived, he saw Rob already waiting for him. Other than him, the King of Abyssal Knights, Bai He, was also present. He was currently sitting on the main seat. After Zhou Zhou greeted the two of them politely, he heard Bai He say, "Sit." He did not stand on ceremony and sat down with a smile. "We already know that you've reached the mythical tier advanced grade. We won't ask how you did it. However, we won't turn a blind eye to you bringing glory to our human race. We just held a meeting of the three kings to discuss how to reward you. In the end, we decided to give you another chance to accept the epic tier hero inheritance." Bai He said. After saying that, Zhou Zhou was not the only one stunned. Beside him, Rob was also stunned. Epic tier? F***CK? Wasn't it extraordinary tier? However, he quickly reacted. He looked at Zhou Zhou and could not help but click his tongue. It seemed that the higher-ups of the human race valued the other party more than he had imagined. This human lord in front of him was someone who could stand out from the lords of all races and stand at the top after all. With such an achievement, they should indeed place their bets and nurture him vigorously. Zhou Zhou was also pleasantly surprised. He never expected that not only would the other party not ask, but he would also give him such benefits. Epic tier hero inheritance. Bai Yun only had a hero inheritance of this level. Wu Xian was only at the extraordinary tier. This lord talent of the Night Temple was not wasted. Zhou Zhou thought. He did not need the other party's method to nurture knights since they take a long time to be nurtured. However, the gains from having two hero inheritances were not bad. Moreover, this was only a temporary gain. He would definitely be able to obtain more benefits here in the future. "This is for you." Bai He flipped his right hand, and two golden tokens appeared in his hand. He threw them to Zhou Zhou. Zhou Zhou took it and looked at the two golden tokens. They had the word Sage engraved on the front. On the back were the words Heroic Spirit. With these two Heroic Spirit tokens, you can freely enter and exit the Heroic Spirit Hall with the hero candidates you acknowledge until you use up both of your hero inheritances. You have to remember, the hero inheritance is the most precious inheritance of our human race. You have to seriously choose the candidates to accept the hero inheritance. Don't disgrace these two hero inheritances and our human race's expectations of you. In addition, after the candidate you choose accepts the hero inheritance and has the ability to leave behind the hero inheritance, you must come back and leave behind their hero inheritance. This is our only request. It's also a necessary request for the hero inheritance of the human race. Bai He said seriously. No problem. Zhou Zhou agreed readily. However, he was a little curious. A living hero leaves behind the hero inheritance. When the person who accepts the hero inheritance leaves behind the hero inheritance, won't he be able to create countless heroes? Zhou Zhou asked. Of course not. The hero inheritance is an exclusive inheritance recognized by the supreme will. The hero inheritance will only take effect after the hero dies. When the hero is alive, the hero inheritance he left behind is unacceptable to others. Why, he said. Zhou Zhou nodded as he pondered. He hesitated for a moment before telling her about Bai Yun and Nadia. Then why can their hero inheritance coexist? Zhou Zhou asked doubtfully. You actually have such an opportunity? Before Bai He could speak, Rob could not help but exclaim in surprise. Is it rare? Zhou Zhou was puzzled. What's rare is the Hero Inheritance Secret Manual. The Hero Inheritance Secret Manual is quite rare. Compared to the heroic spirit inheritance left behind by our heroic spirit hall with the divine calming stone. As a legendary treasure, the Hero Inheritance Secret Manual can preserve the power of the hero inheritance left behind by a hero after his death to the greatest extent. A hero who accepts this power can receive the inheritance of a hero to the greatest extent. Moreover, even if the hero who left behind the hero inheritance is resurrected, it won't be able to deprive him of the hero's fate level slot. That's why their hero fate level slots coexist. Zhou Zhou was surprised. The Hero Inheritance Secret Manual actually had such an ability. He was lucky enough to obtain such a treasure back then. After chatting for a while, Zhou Zhou bade farewell and left. Then, he arrived at the entrance of the Night Temple. Just as he was about to call a guard from his territory over, he saw Feng Luo standing at the door. At this moment, he was wearing brand new armor and arms, looking majestic. Thank you, my lord, for the armor and arms. This is the first time I've used such powerful and suitable armor and weapons. Feng Luo's face was filled with excitement. As he had been wandering around and had no faction to belong to, even though he was already a white platinum tier advanced grade, the equipment he used was still white platinum tier elementary grade. Among them, the armor was yellow gold tier advanced grade. He had also tried to obtain equipment by destroying the fog monsters. However, he realized that it would not drop even if he killed many fog monsters, so he gave up. Until just now, Wu Xian found him and said that the Lord had asked him to bring him to the territory warehouse to pick out a set of white platinum tier advanced grade equipment that fit him. After taking the equipment, he immediately came over to thank him. Zhou Zhou smiled. He could tell that the other party's equipment level was too low, so he told Wu Xian to get a set for him. After all, he was a legendary tier talent, so he naturally could not be too stingy. Moreover, it was only a set of white platinum tier advanced grade equipment. Yellow gold tier advanced grade fog monsters could drop them. He had long accumulated a lot in his warehouse, but no one had used it because its grade was too high. Giving him a set was nothing. Then, he looked at the other party's loyalty. He realized that the other party's loyalty had increased from 89 to 94. This level of loyalty will do, Zhou Zhou thought. Then, he looked at Feng Luo. Equipment is nothing. I have a better gift for you. But if you accept this gift, you'll have to work under me for the rest of your life. Would you like to? He asked seriously. I'm willing, Feng Luo said without hesitation, even though he had just arrived. However, everything he had seen so far proved that the other party was a benevolent and wise master. There was even a chance of ending this chaotic world. This was exactly what he wanted. Therefore, he was willing to be Zhou Zhou's subordinate for the rest of his life. Okay, then come with me. Zhou Zhou turned around and left. My lord, where are we going? Feng Luo looked around curiously as he walked. What kind of place is this? Why is it so spectacular? I'll help you choose a hero inheritance, Zhou Zhou said without turning his head. Feng Luo was stunned. Hero inheritance? When Feng Luo heard Zhou Zhou's words, the first thought in his mind was, what nonsense is my lord talking about? What kind of existence was the hero inheritance? How could it be chosen just like that? Then, he reacted and scolded his idea for being a little offensive. Then, he hesitated. What if it's true? The more he thought about it, the more he felt that this was possible, so he became more and more excited. Just like that, in anticipation, nervousness, and desire. The two of them arrived at the entrance of the heroic spirit hall. Then, a 3-meter-tall human with purple eyes blocked their path. It was the Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea. "Halt!" The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea said coldly. "Greetings, Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea," Zhou Zhou said respectfully. Feng Luo, who was behind him, quickly reacted and bowed. "It's you. Are you here to accept the legacy of the heroes of the heroic spirits?" The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea looked at Zhou Zhou and said in a less stern voice. Even though he was stationed in the heroic spirit hall all year round, he had also heard that the other party had suppressed the lords of all races and advanced to the mythical tier advance grade. Even though he looked strict on the surface, he actually admired this proud human genius lord quite a lot. He even regarded him as one of the future pillars of the human race. "No. However, I think the person behind me is quite good in terms of potential and strength. Therefore, I want to come over and let the seniors of the Heroic Spirit Hall see if any of them are willing to give him the inheritance of a human hero," Zhou Zhou said. When Feng Luo heard this, he subconsciously straightened his back, not wanting to embarrass his lord. The next second, he felt an extremely pressurizing gaze land on him. This gaze sized him up from head to toe before retracting. Not bad. He should be able to obtain the legacy of an epic tier hero. The Hidden Sea Guardian retracted his gaze and said. He was a little surprised. This kid was really surrounded by talents. The first person he brought over actually had the foundation of an epic tier hero candidate? Zhou Zhou thought for a moment and asked, "Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea, Temple Lord Bai only gave us a chance to obtain an epic tier and an extraordinary tier hero inheritance. But if this subject of mine is recognized by a legendary tier or even higher level heroic spirit senior, will he be able to obtain a higher level hero inheritance?" The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea looked at Feng Luo, then at Zhou Zhou. Then, he smiled and said nothing. Feng Luo and Zhou Zhou's expressions froze. The two of them immediately understood the meaning behind his smile. Feng Luo would not be recognized by heroic spirits of that level. When the Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea saw this, he thought for a moment and explained in order to avoid hurting their confidence. Your subject's potential and bone structure are not bad. It should be more than enough to obtain the recognition of an epic tier heroic spirit. But it's still relatively difficult to obtain the recognition of a higher level heroic spirit. However, if that really happens, our human race naturally won't let a hero waste his talent for nothing. We will temporarily not open the hero inheritance of that heroic spirit and let the heroic candidate accumulate merits in the human race. When we accumulate enough merit points and this person has been recognized by the higher-ups of our human race, we will naturally open that heroic spirit's hero inheritance again and find him to officially inherit the hero inheritance. Zhou Zhou nodded slightly. This was acceptable. As for the fact that Feng Luo was not enough to inherit the legendary tier or even higher-level hero inheritance, Zhou Zhou felt that the other party was not lying to him. After all, this was a human expert that even Rob had to call Lord. His strength should have stepped into God tier. Such an existence had been stationed in the Heroic Spirit Hall for many years and had probably seen countless heroic candidates. His discerning should not be wrong. As for Feng Luo, who was behind him, he did not care too much about whether it was an epic tier or a legendary tier hero inheritance. He felt that it would be good enough if he could obtain the hero inheritance. Why would he be picky? "Are you two going in now?" The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea said.
Yes.
Zhou Zhou acknowledged. The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea nodded. Then, he waved his right hand and asked the knights on both sides of the door to open the door of the Heroic Spirit Hall. "Go in. Don't forget to be careful with your words and actions in front of the heroic spirits of the heroes," he said.
Yes.
Zhou Zhou acknowledged. Then, he walked into the Heroic Spirit Hall with Feng Luo. In the Heroic Spirit Hall, the heroic spirits of more than 300 heroes floated above the divine calming stone with their eyes closed. The faint pressure of their hero slots made Feng Luo, who was behind Zhou Zhou, suddenly tense up. As for Zhou Zhou, as the dragon-slaying king, he still felt nothing when facing their pressure. Wait, don't go. Zhou Zhou suddenly stopped and said. Even though Feng Luo didn't know why, he stood where he was obediently. A moment later, Zhou Zhou looked at the motionless heroic spirits around him and could not help but feel a little regretful. He was also a little smug. It seemed that not everyone had the same aptitude as him. Go ahead. There are a total of 312 heroic spirit consciousnesses in this heroic spirit hall. Next, you only need to stay in front of each heroic spirit for a few seconds. If a heroic spirit feels that you meet the requirements of his hero inheritance, he or she will naturally open their eyes. At that time, you can choose to accept their hero inheritance. Don't be in a hurry to choose. If many heroic spirits choose you, that means that they all acknowledge you as their successor. When the time comes, choose the best epic tier hero inheritance. Zhou Zhou reminded. Yes, my lord. Feng Luo said respectfully. Then, he became a little curious. My lord, you've been here before, right? Image him. Then how many heroic spirits has my lord been chosen? Feng Luo couldn't help but ask curiously. Hearing Zhou Zhou's words, he naturally knew that the more heroic spirits opened their eyes, the better their aptitude. They're all open. Zhou Zhou walked deeper into the heroic spirit hall without looking back. Only Feng Luo, who was staring at Zhou Zhou with wide eyes, was left. Zhou Zhou came to a heroic spirit. This heroic spirit was none other than Blazing Sun Mage, Changqing, who had an epic tier hero fate level slot, but had long been killed by the enemy on the battlefield. I already have a holy spirit tier scarlet crystal in my hand. After converting it into a faith divine crystal and obtaining some of Changqing's belongings from the Night Hall, I can go to Carol Moeli to revive. But Zhou Zhou frowned slightly and fell into deep thought. If he had not encountered the sky-devouring thunder dragon, he would definitely have done so. However, he had previously encountered the sky-devouring thunder dragon and lost a death immunity scroll. This made him reevaluate the thought of reviving Changqing. He wanted to exchange for another death immunity scroll first. That thing could really save his life after all. Thinking of this, he made his decision. It was better not to revive Changqing yet. He still felt that security was the most important. There was no need to be anxious about reviving the hero and making a deal with the Night Temple. More than an hour later, Feng Luo walked over quickly and stood in front of Zhou Zhou with a faint excitement on his face. My lord, I found a suitable hero inheritance, he said excitedly. Already? It's only been an hour. Have you seen all 312 heroic spirits? How many heroic spirits have opened their eyes? Zhou Zhou asked in surprise. I've seen everything. However, I'm far inferior to my lord. I only opened the eyes of 8 heroic spirits. Among them, there are 6 heroic spirits with extraordinary tier hero slots and only 2 with epic tier hero slots. What I value is one of the 2 epic tier hero slots. Feng Luo said. Bring me there. Zhou Zhou said. Yes, please follow me, my lord. Feng Luo nodded and brought Zhou Zhou to a heroic spirit. He looked at the heroic spirit. This was a middle-aged general wearing a general's uniform and holding a bright saber. Epic tier hero, 10-directional martial emperor. Zhou Zhou looked at that person's life. 10-directional martial emperor. Respect for me. This was a legendary hero. It was said that this person was originally a beggar. Zun Wu, who had been a beggar since he was young, had only secretly learned a few scattered martial techniques in order to survive. Later on, he actually used this opportunity to make a name for himself. After that, he saw that the world was in chaos, so he decided to join the army to quell the chaos. In the end, he really continued to obtain military merits and finally became a great general. However, even though he was a great general in the army, he was different from a normal general. Other generals practiced military combat techniques. He just had to love martial arts moves. Moreover, he had the comprehension ability of a genius martial artist. With the country's resources, he had grasped countless martial arts manuals and various martial techniques at his fingertips. In the end, he even comprehended the hero slot from martial arts. Later on, There was a martial arts conference held by martial artists in the pugilistic world. Many martial artists participated. Zhou Zhou was also very interested, so he chose to hide his identity and participate anonymously. In the end, he actually won the championship and became the leader of the martial arts world. This was because Zhou Zhou often used saber techniques to crack all kinds of martial techniques at the conference. In his eyes, it was as if any martial technique or weapon had flaws that could be easily broken. Therefore, it was called the ten-directional martial emperor by the people of the pugilistic world. Later on, even though his identity as a great general was exposed, the title of ten-directional martial emperor was still above that of a great general. Until the other party was later attacked on the battlefield and killed by 3 epic tier heroes. Only then did he end his legendary life. After reading it, Zhou Zhou sighed. At the same time, he realized that the other party's hero ability was indeed similar to Feng Luo's. The ten-directional martial emperor, Zhou Zhou could easily see through the flaws of various martial techniques and could easily break them. Feng Luo had also walked out of his path as a sword-shield soldier. Moreover, among his skills, there were cracking skills like shield break, arrow control, saber slash, and spear break. To Feng Luo, the ten-directional martial emperor is indeed the most suitable hero inheritance for him. Zhou Zhou thought. Then, he looked at the other epic tier hero inheritance and was even more certain of this. If that's the case, just accept this senior's inheritance. Zhou Zhou told Feng Luo.
Yes.
Feng Luo immediately became excited. He stood in front of Zhou Wu's heroic spirit and looked at him. The next second, a large amount of golden light was released from Zhou Wu's body. Then, like silk, it wrapped around Feng Luo. Zhou Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. This was the first time he had seen such a scene. The hero inheritance of heroic spirits was actually so magical. He did not disturb the other party. Zhou Zhou walked out of the heroic spirit hall and told the Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea about Feng Luo. Tisk. To be valued by that proud fellow, Zhou Wu, your subject is not ordinary. The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea said in surprise. There were also differences in the epic tier hero inheritance. Zhou Wu's hero inheritance was definitely considered a top epic tier hero inheritance. Zhou Zhou told the Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea about their similarities. The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea immediately pondered. After coming over for a while, he said, In that case, he might be able to surpass Zhou Wu in the future and walk his own heroic path, obtaining a higher-level hero fate level slot. His potential is still a little low. If I can increase my strength, my chances might be higher. Thank you for the hint, Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea. Zhou Zhou thanked him. It's fine. It was just a passing thought. Moreover, items that can increase one's potential are not easy to obtain. The Guardian shook his head. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. The highest bottle he had now was a bottle of epic tier potential advancement potion. This naturally could not increase the potential of an epic tier hero. Epic tier hero. The lowest potential was at the epic tier. After that, Zhou Zhou chatted with the Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea for a while. After learning from him that inheriting the heroic spirit would take some time, Zhou Zhou did not chat much and quickly left. In the living room of the Lord Manor, Zhou Zhou took out 6 regional treasure chests from his spatial ring. He opened them one by one. In the end, 5 of the region treasure chests were region-exclusive resource packs. Only the region treasure chest in Dark Knight Town was a yellow gold tier territory fusion certificate. It's really difficult to obtain a regional treasure chest like the Golem Lair. Zhou Zhou shook his head. Fortunately, this yellow gold tier territory fusion certificate was not bad. Then, he sent someone to call Mu Gu, Zheng Fugui, and Carol Moali over and asked about their improvements. Among them, Mu Gu's strength had also increased to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade after his territory advanced to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. His various skills had also increased to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Moreover, he could manage 11 monster ranches. The maximum capacity of each monster ranch had increased from 3,000 to 3,500. The upper limit of the monsters that could be nurtured had also increased to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Zhou Zhou asked him to build a new monster ranch. As for the types of ranch monsters inside, he naturally chose the violent storm demon spirit that could produce kingdom-level combat class. As Zheng Fugui's mysterious caravan leveled up, the number of mysterious merchant had increased from 200 to 250. The abilities of all the mysterious merchant had also been upgraded to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. The number of mysterious caravan carriages had also increased from 100 to 150. In the end, there were already 200 clergymen, 200 priests, 200 nuns, and 400 life paladins in the shelter of Carol Moali's goddess of life. All the cleric strength had also increased to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Carol Moali's strength had also increased from diamond tier elementary grade to diamond tier intermediate grade. This meant that the other party could revive any life form below the diamond tier intermediate grade, including heroes. This way, the range of revival heroes that Zhou Zhou could choose had increased again. After understanding all of this, he let the three of them leave and took out a black seed. It was the seed of the sacred blood fruit. Zhou Zhou took a few glances and walked out of the Lord Manor with it. He came to the spatial teleportation array and teleported to the spiritual medicine city. After Zhou Zhou came out of the spiritual medicine city's spatial teleportation array, he saw two teams of soldiers guarding here. "Greetings, my lord." The soldiers were shocked when they saw Zhou Zhou. Then, they hurriedly said respectfully, as subjects of a subordinate territory, they naturally knew of the existence of the lord of the main territory, Zhou Zhou. "Where's your lord?" Zhou Zhou asked. "Her lordship is in the city. She should be studying now," the leader of the sword-shield soldiers said respectfully. "Studying?" Zhou Zhou was a little surprised. "Take me there." "Yes," the soldier said. Then, he arranged for the vice-captain to continue guarding the quests. Then, he brought Zhou Zhou to Linger's lord's residence. A moment later, "Lord's residence. Big brother." After the soldier reported, Zhou Zhou quickly saw Linger run out of the residence and hugged him excitedly. Zhou Zhou smiled and stroked her hair. "Have you been studying?" he asked curiously. "Mom said that studying can make you a useful person. That's why I gathered some books at the marketplace that I should read at my age. They were all written down by the lords of the Cerulean planet from our memories on the High Continent. Those authors are so awesome. They can actually memorize them all," Linger said. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. Turning their knowledge into books to sell in the marketplace was also a common method for lords to earn missed cores. After that, the two of them entered the residence. After chatting for a while, he told them why he was here. "A true god-tier advanced grade seed?" Linger's mouth opened slightly. Then, she looked at Zhou Zhou with admiration. Most of the items and equipment used by the lords were black iron and green bronze tier. Even white silver tier items could be considered precious. Her big brother had actually used a true god-tier advanced grade item. In a year or two, Big Brother would probably ascend to the throne of the Lord of all races, right? She thought expectantly. "I only obtained this seed by chance. I want to see if your divine herb garden can accelerate its growth." Zhou Zhou saw the other party's admiring gaze and guessed what Linger was thinking, so he explained. "True god-tier advanced grade? A medicinal herb of this level is not within the talent effect of the divine herb garden." Linger came back to her senses and said in distress. Her divine herb garden could only reduce the growth time of legendary tier medicinal herbs. The true god tier advanced grade had already far exceeded this level. "Let's give it a try first," Zhou Zhou said. "Okay." Seeing her big brother's insistence, Linger didn't say anything else and nodded in agreement. After that, the two of them left the Lord's residence and came to the divine herb garden. After arriving, Linger took the seed of the sacred blood fruit from Zhou Zhou and planted it personally in the ground. Time passed. However, there was nothing wrong with the place where the sacred blood fruit was planted. Linger looked at Zhou Zhou awkwardly. "Big brother. Normally speaking, if the ability of the divine herb garden takes effect, a large amount of spiritual energy will immediately gather at the place where the seed is planted. There's no spiritual energy gathered now. It should be because the divine herb garden can't work on this sacred blood fruit." Zhou Zhou nodded calmly. He, who was familiar with the abilities of the divine herb garden, was already prepared for this scene. The reason why he still wanted to give it a try was because he was unwilling. This scene completely dispelled his unrealistic thoughts. Big Brother. However, even though the divine herb garden can't work on this sacred blood fruit, but the divine herb garden have an obscure ability. Its soil is suitable for planting any medicinal herb crop. Let it be planted here. Linger did not want her big brother to come for nothing, so she hurriedly said, "Okay." Zhou Zhou was stunned for a moment before nodding. In that case, this divine herb garden was really a treasure land. There were many medicinal herbs in the world that needed a unique growth environment to grow successfully. Some regional specialties were also formed from this. On the other hand, the divine herb garden could provide a suitable environment for any medicinal herb crop to grow. However, they could gather crops from all over the world and even regional special herbs to grow. Make good use of the benefits this can bring. It was not inferior to the talent effect of reducing the growth time of medicinal herbs. Zhou Zhou's attention returned to the sacred blood fruit. He thought for a moment and took out a white platinum tier advanced grade heart. This shocked Linger. However, when she saw the item information displayed on the heart, she heaved a sigh of relief and was a little surprised. Vampire Baron bloodline? Big Brother was really amazing. He could always take out treasures that she had seen before. She looked at Zhou Zhou with even more admiration. Zhou Zhou ignored the fangirl beside him. After taking out the vampire bloodline, he walked to the place where the sacred blood fruit was planted. Just as he was thinking about how to use this vampire baron bloodline to water the sacred blood fruit seed, he suddenly felt that the vampire baron bloodline in his hand was about to leave his hand, as if it was about to rush into the soil buried in the sacred blood fruit seed. Zhou Zhou was stunned. He thought for a moment before letting go. The next second, he saw the vampire baron's heart land on the ground and melt into a pool of blood that fused into the ground. Zhou Zhou and Linger behind him looked at this scene in surprise. 4 to 5 seconds later, the two of them saw the soil that the blood had fused into suddenly stir. Then, a golden red tender shoot was extracted from the ground and quickly grew until it became a golden red plant more than half a meter tall. A golden red flower bud slowly bloomed, revealing a golden red fruit that looked like a strawberry. Zhou Zhou looked at the fruit. A text notification appeared. Treasure name, Sacred Blood Fruit. Treasure grade, White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. Treasure effect, after plucking it and consuming it, it can slightly increase the bloodline contained in your body at the White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade and below. It will automatically choose to increase the highest level bloodline contained in your body. Treasure description, the legendary sacred blood fruit that can purify one's bloodline. Even most god spirits have only heard of it and never seen it with their own eyes. Prompt, you can choose not to pick it, but to continue injecting your bloodline power to increase the grade of the sacred blood fruit, so it can grow directly with bloodline water. Zhou Zhou was speechless. However, he could not be blamed. After all, even God Spirit did not understand this, let alone a lord who had just arrived in the high continent for 14 days. It can only purify bloodlines below White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade? Zhou Zhou pondered. Even though his Chaos Human bloodline was only at the White Silver Tier Elementary Grade, he could not use this sacred blood fruit. This was because he was already 100% a pure-blooded Chaos Human. It could not continue to purify his bloodline. However, he quickly thought of 3 choices. Bai Yun, Wu Xian, and Nazario. Bai Yun had 14% of the Wood Elves bloodline, Diamond Tier Elementary Grade. Wu Xian had 3% of the Golden Dragon bloodline, Epic Tier Advanced Grade, in his body. Nazario even had 1% of the Divine Dragon of Destruction bloodline, True God Tier Advanced Grade, in his body. If he could purify these bloodlines and increase the ratio, their combat strength and potential would increase. Therefore, the bloodlines of all 3 had a high purification value. However, with the current level of the sacred blood fruit, it naturally could not be increased. The level is still a little low. Level up first. Zhou Zhou quickly made a decision. He took out 100 sets of Wood Elves bloodline and fused them into a high-level Wood Elves bloodline. Then, He watered the sacred blood fruit and saw it emit a golden red light. A moment later, when Zhou Zhou looked over again, its level had already become extraordinary tier elementary grade. Zhou Zhou nodded slightly. Then, he sent someone to call Bai Yun over and asked her if she wanted to improve and purify her bloodline. If you want to upgrade and purify the Wood Elf's bloodline, I will first upgrade your Wood Elf's bloodline to a high-level Wood Elf's bloodline. Then, increase the ratio of high-level Wood Elf's bloodline in your body. Zhou Zhou added. Bai Yun hesitated. She naturally knew that improving and purifying her Wood Elf's bloodline would be beneficial to her strength. But, if you don't want to give up on your human race, I'll maintain the human bloodline in your body at 70%. Zhou Zhou saw that Bai Yun still had concerns, so he said seriously, since the drop rate of monsters was too low on the high continent, so, if a life form contained many bloodlines, as long as the ratio of one bloodline reached 70% or more, he could use this bloodline to determine that the other party was a single-blooded life form. This was because the ratio of 70% to more than 70% of the bloodline would make life forms show very obvious racial characteristics. Under normal circumstances, almost no one would think of him as a half-blood. If a life form had many bloodlines in their body, and the ratio of each bloodline was below 70%, then this life form would become a mixed blood. It could not be treated as a life form of a single bloodline race. If he wanted other living beings to address a specific race, he could only join the corresponding race. But this was only on the surface. The other life form might be called a certain race on the surface, however. In fact, everyone knew that the other party was a mixed blood and could not be considered a true single race. Under normal circumstances, mixed bloods could not become the higher-ups of the races. They might even be discriminated against. Unless he was too strong, so strong that he could break all prejudices. Bai Yun heaved a sigh of relief. That was her concern, even though she also wanted to increase her strength. However, if possible, she still did not want to give up her human identity, even if this human bloodline was very weak. However, that was also the basis of many of her persistence and reasons. Thank you, my lord. I'm willing to accept the upgrade and purification of the Wood Elf's bloodline while maintaining my human bloodline, Bai Yun said. Zhou Zhou smiled and nodded. Not only did the other party's insistence on the human bloodline not make him unhappy, but he even admired it. After all, not only was he his lord, but he was also one of the lords of the human race. To a certain extent, he was also fighting for the human race. He was naturally very happy that Bai Yun insisted on keeping the human bloodline. He had indeed not chosen the wrong person. Then, he first took out 100 sets of Wood Elf's bloodline and fused them into a high-level Wood Elf's bloodline. After that, Zhou Zhou let Bai Yun use it. Half an hour later, Bai Yun woke up from her bloodline awakening. At this moment, her skin was even fairer, her legs were slender, and her figure was even taller. Moreover, the vigorous blood energy and mental strength in his body were even more shocking. Clearly, his strength had increased significantly after replacing the high-level Wood Elf's bloodline. Zhou Zhou opened her attribute panel and looked at her bloodline column. Human bloodline, white silver tier intermediate grade, 75%. High-level Wood Elf's bloodline, extraordinary tier elementary grade, 18%. Then, he raised his eyebrows. His high-level Wood Elf's bloodline not only upgraded Bai Yun's Wood Elf's bloodline to high-level Wood Elf's bloodline, but the purity of her bloodline had also increased from 14% to 18%. Thinking of this, Zhou Zhou hesitated. Should he continue to purify it? If he fed Bai Yun another sacred blood fruit now, would the purity of her bloodline directly exceed 30%? He hesitated for a long time and finally decided to ask the Supreme Will. In the end, the Supreme Will really gave a notification. Supreme Will notification. When a life form uses the sacred blood fruit to purify their bloodline, they can rely on their resistance to sense and control this process of purifying their bloodline. Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. So he could still control crowd control? Then there was no problem. Zhou Zhou handed the newly nurtured sacred blood fruit to Bai Yun and told her that the sacred blood fruit could be controlled by crowd control. Just increase the purity of the high-level Wood Elf's bloodline to 25%. Keep the other 5% just in case, Zhou Zhou said. With Bai Yun's hero fate level slot, she could naturally feel the ratio of her bloodline. There was no need for him to give a special hint. Yes, my lord, Bai Yun said gratefully. Then, she consumed the sacred blood fruit. She closed her eyes. Soon, Zhou Zhou and Linger saw wisps of blood fog that flickered with green light gradually dissipate from the surface of Bai Yun's body and surround her. Zhou Zhou heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that her expression was normal. At the same time, he observed the progress of her bloodline improvement. 19%, 20%, 22%, 24%. Soon, Bai Yun's high-level Wood Elf's bloodline had increased to 25%. At the same time, her figure and appearance were also closer to perfection. At the same time, her blood energy and mental strength were stronger. At this moment, Bai Yun slowly opened her eyes. She looked at Zhou Zhou and suddenly knelt on the ground excitedly. Thank you for your gift, my lord. I feel that I've become stronger. Get up. Just don't let down your potential in the future. Zhou Zhou smiled and helped her up. Then, he looked at her attribute panel. Subject, Bai Yun, Hero Unit. Hero Title, Blood Fire Arrow Elf. Position, Epic Tier Heroes Fate Level. Territory, Blazing Sun City. Strength Level, Yellow Gold Tier Intermediate Grade. Ability Overview, a hero with both human bloodline and high-level Wood Elf bloodline. His body contains powerful energy, and he is proficient in elemental archery. He is a hero that can make enemies tremble in fear on the battlefield. Bloodline, Human Bloodline, White Silver Tier Intermediate Grade, 75%. Advanced Wood Elves Bloodline, Extraordinary Tier Elementary Grade, 25%. Skills, Heroic Skill, Blood Fire Arrow Rain, Heroic Skill, Morale Stability, Heroic Skill, Silent March, Epic Tier Advanced Grade Life Origin Meditation Method, Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Wood Elemental Control, Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Fire Elemental Control, Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Blood Elemental Control, Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Elemental Archery Skill, Wood, Race Talent, Plant Affinity, Race Talent Growth, Race Skill, Plant Whisperer, Yellow Gold Tier Advance. Grade Elemental Archery Skill, Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade, Plant Manipulation, Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Elemental Archery Skill. Loyalty, 100, Dead Loyal. Potential, Legendary Tier Elementary Grade. Hero Biography, 1. Under the blessing of the Human Lord, the Lord of the Blazing Sun, he obtained the hero inheritance of the Blood Fire Arrow Elf and became the second-generation Blood Fire Arrow Elf. Hero's personal reputation rating +1, Elf race reputation +10,000, High continent reputation +5. It was fine for Zhou Zhou to see the front. However, he was a little surprised when he saw Bai Yun's potential. Previously, Bai Yun's potential was only at the Epic Tier Advanced Grade. Now, it has actually advanced to the Legendary Tier Elementary Grade. Can improving my bloodline also increase my potential? Then I have to get more bloodlines in the future. Zhou Zhou thought. Bai Yun and Wu Xian were fine. There was a high chance that the two of them would insist on the human bloodline. The demand for the sacred blood fruit was not very high. However, the Divine Dragon of Destruction bloodline in Nazario's body was not only a true dragon bloodline, but it was also a true God-tier advanced grade bloodline. Purifying its bloodline to 100% would definitely increase Nazario's strength and potential. Nazario probably wouldn't refuse. However, it was also very difficult to do this. First, he had to think of a way to obtain a large number of bloodlines to water and nurture the sacred blood fruit. Thinking of this, Zhou Zhou's gaze landed on the vampire bloodline and the Wood Elf's bloodline in his spatial ring.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.